Welcome back, Astronomical Learners, to our educational video series with some manipulatives. So today I wanted to show something that I have had for a few years. I got it at the Target dollar spot, but I see them come up around every year, either at Walmart or at Dollar Tree or any kind of local store, or you can just simply make these yourself if you get some dry erase tape. And you write them yourself, or any kind of tape or printer, or you can handwrite them and make them yourself. But essentially, I want to talk about contractions. So, why are we talking about this? I would say this is great from all the way from kindergarten all the way even to maximum 99 years old, because it's not always easy. And a lot of these are high frequency words. And what is a high frequency word? So a lot of words, not many people feel that they are decodable. That is arguable. For structured literacy tutors like myself, we do feel like a lot of these are decodable if they have certain blends or beginnings where you can teach that. You don't always have to memorize the whole word. But essentially, you do have to understand the construction or components of what makes a contraction. Because essentially when these were made, these are the common or the majority of the population of what they determined was a contraction. But if you go through etymology and history of words, there's several words that we don't use anymore that used to be contractions because it was understood colloquially or locally, and that has changed over time. And also it depends on where you live in the region of the world, your region in our country, and so on and so on. But these are the most common contractions that you want to understand. So let's start with something simple. So this is working a little bit backwards because we're going to start with the contraction. And then, as the instructions say, then you're going to put on top what the breakdown is. So when it comes to aisle, I always remembered this, and I always, in my head, even when I'm reading or writing, I do actually break it down. So we're going to start with the yellow block because we have it here, right? So we already have I, so that's simple. But then what does that LL stand for? Does it mean, you know, something or other? Like usually when you say I'll, you're talking about what you're doing or what you want to do, but it's not I do. It's not, and it's not just like, oh, we're adding an L to the I. It's actually talking about will. I will is I'll. So it's easy to forget that that apostrophe is going to take the place of that WI, but essentially this is just a shorter way to spell and communicate what everybody knows as I will, and you don't have to spell the two words out. Now I will give you a hint: when you're older in class and you need to fill up words, don't use contractions. If you need more characters, spread it out, but you need to know what you are spreading out. That's why these are so important, because it's easy to learn the short version. It's not always easy to remember the origin. So if you got this when I pulled this out, great job. All right, so I'm just going to move this up here. Next, we have its. Its. Now I will say this is the contraction its. There is another its where it does not have the contraction, and this is possessive. We're not talking about that one. We are talking about the contraction. So it's two words. So we are going to need a yellow block first, and we are going to choose it because, as you can see, just like the I, it's already there. It's right in front of you. So what is that S? It's not possessive, so it is holding on to is. It is its. So this means like it is going to rain today, or you're explaining like what is happening, but instead of saying the whole thing, I mean, for me as a kid, I remember thinking, how is that a contraction because you're only removing one I? But I think the important thing is that you weren't maybe overusing the letter I, because sometimes that's confusing to people, or maybe with cursive or like back in the day when you had to handwrite a lot of things, maybe it was complicated to do all of this, and it was just easier to do its. But essentially, don't forget that when we say its, it just means it is. And in my head, even to this day, when I want to know the difference between the possessive its without an apostrophe and the its with an apostrophe, I always read the sentence and replace the its with it is. So we'll keep that up here. Next, we have I've. I've. So we're going to steal this I from over here. We're going to put it up here. And then what do you think represents that VE? What do you think? I'm going to let you know it's have. Have. I have. I've done something today. I have done something today. Or I've got a new bag, or I've got some new shoes. It is an easy way to replace the HA with an apostrophe to just have I've. Next, I'm going to have to keep this out because next we have you've. You've. So if we're not needing I, and we know the VE is have, what do I need to put right here? What do you think? Ah, okay, you've got it. You're absolutely right. We're going to put you have. So you've got my shoes. You've eaten my snack. You've done it. You're accusing somebody of something they have done. Next, keeping on this theme, they've. They've. So remember, what does that VE replace? That's right. Have. Have. So what's going to be next to VE? That's right. We have they. They've. They've. They've eaten all the cereal. Oh no. They've taken my shoes. We're accusing not just one person. We're not accusing ourselves. We're accusing a whole group of people. So it's two or more. They've done it. All right, next. Let's keep this they theme going. So we have they've. Now what about they'll? They'll. So we know we're going to keep this they, right? They. And then remember back when we were talking about I'll? I'll? That's right. We have to move it over here. They will. So we have they've, and now we have they'll. Next, what about their? Their. Now I will tell you, there are several different ways. We have there. It's like over there. We have there, like it's theirs. And then we have this one, which is, can you tell me? What do you think it is? They. And then what do you think represents this RE? That apostrophe replaces one letter. A. It's they are. So in my head when I'm reading, if I want to know the difference between there, and they are, I literally say they are in my head. I don't even acknowledge the apostrophe. When I'm reading aloud, I know I'm going to say there, but if I'm analyzing a text and I want to know the difference, or if I'm spelling and I want to know how to write it, is this a place? Am I talking about a place? No. Am I talking about a group of people's possessions? No. Then I'm going to be using they are. They are over there. Or they are their parents. So I always fully pronounce it in my head as they are, but I'm still going to pronounce verbally there, and I'm still going to spell it the correct way. Now that we've addressed the theys, I'll keep them over there. I want to move on and let's talk about aren't. Aren't. So back to the beginning, what's that first part? That's right, we have are. Are. And then a fun fact with the N apostrophe T, I would always replace that apostrophe in my mind with an O. So do you know what that word is? That's right. Not. Are not. So let's keep going with this theme. Let's talk about wasn't. Wasn't. So what's the first word that I need? Remember from here? Not the same thing. I'm saying, look at the base word. What do we need? What are those first three letters? Was. Was. And then what do I replace that apostrophe with? An O. That's right. Was not. Wasn't. Was not. I wasn't doing that. And then I'm in the South. So all of these contractions I read in my head with a very Southern accent. So I'm going to give you permission to do that too. Or any accent that you like that's respectful. But these contractions, very much Southern. Like, aren't you gonna pick that up? Or wasn't you gonna do that? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. But I always make it funny in my head to help me remember. All right, so we've gotten this far. Last block. Where's. Where's. So keep note of here. Where's that root word? Where. And notice you don't have to memorize this. Even if you don't know the air sound, we know the WH is wah, wah. So then we can figure out, oh, that's right, that's air. It's a weird one, right? Where. Now, I need a green block. What does that S represent? Do you remember? Think about it's. It's. What's missing? That's right. Is. So when you see that apostrophe S and it's not a possessive or, and if it's not any other thing and it's a contraction, we're talking about is. Where is? Where's your brother? Where's your jacket? Where's your shoes? Remember, think about funny. Funny's going to help you remember. But essentially, let's review. We started with I'll, which we know is I will. And from there, we went from I'll to I've, you've, they've, they'll, there, aren't, wasn't, it's, where's. So if you know all of these contractions and you practice them, you'll be able to figure out most contractions. Even this one, which I'm so surprised that I don't have. Because this is my favorite. What is this? Is this a vowel team? No. This is a contraction. And I'll tell you what it is. Because remember that little O. Am not. Now, is this grammarly, grammatically correct? No. This is a Southern phrase, and you're going to hear it in your life no matter where you are, I promise you. Ain't. And what it means? I am not going to do that. So I want to end it on a funny note. So when you think of ain't, I want you to think of am not. And remember all the contractions that we've gone through today. But great job, and thank you so much for watching.